All right. Let me know if this works. Let me see. Let me see.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Sweet. All right. What's up, guys? Let me just get the link out here posted in Discord. All right. So, if everybody on the live stream can hear me just fine and see the live stream just fine, if you can, please go to the comment section and just say all good, give me a thumbs up, let me know that the audio and video is working properly for the viewers before I go any farther. Because it would suck to get to the end of all this and then close it up and realize there was an issue. And then after you do that, if you can please retweet the stream, like and retweet it, please. Get it out there. Let me know that everyone has access to it. And we should be good. Peakbot, yes, I posted the my Peakbot watch list for the week. The ones I'm looking to trade. Alright, cool. Sounds good. Alright. So I already have the 6 names for this week on watch. I like to pick 6 to be my main focus. I don't want to be too all over the board on my watch list on Webull. I think I have 135 stocks on my watch list, but I'll put my favorite 6 at the top. So obviously the same 3 every week is SPY, QQQ, and IWM. Always going to be the top 3 that I'm going to do. The other 3 that I am watching, which I've already shared and talked about and posted a chart earlier, but I'm just going to do a quick review of it here live, which is MARA, ticker MARA, and then TSM, which is Taiwan Semi, and then CCL, which is Carnival Cruise Line. So those will be my other 3 that I'm going to be doing tonight as my main watches for this week. Just my favorite setups overall, just on the larger time frames that I want to see play out this week. So sweet. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. SPY. I want to turn all the indicators off. What a great short. Look at that. Look at that. It's a KC short right there. This is on the 15-minute chart. I don't think I had any signals on the 5. I had one pre-market, but yeah, I like to wait for intraday. Oh, the 10-minute printed short. Look at that. At 9:40. The 15 minutes probably 9:45. No, the 15-minute. Yeah, right when the 9:30 closed. Look at that. That was good. Nothing on the 30 or 1 hour. So, nice. Nice little short. Let me hide all the indicators. When was the last time SPY was this low? It's here. So not too long ago. It was at 547 on SPY. To be exact, I quickly marked that, but I'll drop down to the lower time frame in a second. But 546.91. At 545. What's the low of this one? 545.18 is exactly where I put that candle at. 542, 543 is going to be big once it gets down just in that zone in general. That's probably going to be in my call. That'll end up being the put trigger. So that's on the daily. Let me drop it down to the hourly. Yeah. I'll actually make that my call trigger. I'll leave that one the way it is. So I think 551 on SPY is probably going to be my call trigger. The 550 psych level, obviously just those whole numbers, it's going to struggle there. And I have a level at 550.38. So just overall that area, I'd like to see SPY get over. But once it reclaims 51, that'll probably be where I start looking at the calls on SPY. So over 551, very easy targets: 551.50, 552, 552.50, and then 553.3 will be my targets upside. So I'll change this one actually. So currently this will be my supply or resistance that I need SPY to break and close over to hit these targets above. That's a big spot there. I know I mark levels really fast. That's going to be 10 times better. So I need, oh, there we go. So 547.50 down to 547 will be my put trigger when it breaks and holds under here. So initially I'll look to get calls off of here, but once this zone is broken and it gets flipped to supply or becomes new resistance, I'll target these downsides. So under 547, I'm going to target 546.46, essentially 546.5, 545.86, and then 545.18, probably down to that 545 psych level. So as of right now, 550.3 up to 551. It's a 70-cent range right up there. That's going to be my overhead supply and my current resistance that I have on SPY. I will initially look to go short off of it whenever SPY comes up here and hits it. My first instinct is going to be to short it for obviously the resistance for the rejection to go down. Just best risk to reward obviously is going to be the short. If SPY breaks above it, I'm going to look to enter into calls on the pullback into the zone and then want to see the buyer step in and want to make that higher high next, then that's where I'll end up taking the calls when it does that SR flip, that support resistance flip. And then again, 50-cent target upsides really on SPY, and then after 552.50 to 553.3. And then same thing initially when it comes down to demand or support down here. I think what's going to fake a lot of people out is when SPY goes under that previous low. It's only 50 cents downside before it enters then into that demand. So I think a lot of people are going to end up chasing puts. It's going to hit this demand or this support that they didn't mark from previous price action, and then buyers are going to step in and push it back up. And it's going to leave a lot of people holding the bag and having to either cut it for a loss. So I'll be patient when it comes down to this zone. I will look to get calls if I see any kind of bullish sign or buyers step in, and take it back up into these levels here, 548.10 to 549 and 549.50. If SPY breaks underneath the zone here, if it breaks underneath of it, pops back up here, then I'll look to target these downside, and when it does the SR flip, that's where I'll be taking my put position, is when I see that happen, and then take it down to the lower lows. So those will be the current call trigger and put trigger, supply demand, and then all my targets and key levels from essentially 545 to 553.3. So about $4 upside downside on SPY for right now that I have on watch there. And let me take a screenshot of this. Cool. After SPY, obviously, is QQQ. With a lot of big tech earnings coming in, QQQ could fill this gap downside if she wants to. That'll be my put trigger essentially if it breaks that. The call trigger is probably going to go here. This will be my put trigger most likely. Let me drop it down. No, the 478's better. This one's way too close. So for QQQ, my call trigger is going to be 478. If QQQ breaks above 478, comes back, and then end up taking it higher, that's going to be where I go long, is right here. When QQQ breaks and holds above it, and then I want to enter in on the retest and see obviously buyers step in, show that they want to hold this, do an SR flip here, take the calls up to 481, and then 483.4, and then 485. And you're just sent a message in the Discord and in the group chat. Discord, he was like, can't even focus on what Casey Trades is saying because he's so damn sexy. And then the group chat, he said, damn Casey, I just pitched a tent when I saw you live. Oh my god, love you, Imp. So yeah, that 478, that's going to be my call trigger on QQQ. 473.75 is going to be my put trigger. I'm going to want to take that down all the way to 471.2. If QQQ comes down, QQQ comes down to 473.75, breaks it, I'm going to enter into puts here on the retest and rejection and go down to that lower low, down to 471.2. If QQQ breaks underneath 471.2, it has a gap to fill to the downside of almost $3 down to 468.2. So definitely something to keep on watch is that gap to fill downside. Again, there are some earnings this week, so depending on how a few of these tech names report earnings can be the catalyst kind of that QQQ is going to need to fill that gap to the downside. So 473.75 put trigger, initial support though, and then resistance above 478, breaking a hold above that. That's my call trigger. Go ahead and screenshot that. Move on quickly to IWM. I already have a put trigger. It's going to be around 215. Call trigger is going to be 219. Obviously at the 220 psych level. Actually, I do kind of like that level here. So for IWM, my call trigger is going to be 219. My targets upside are going to be 219.6, 220, and then 220.5. My put trigger, 215.14. I'm just going to say about 215 psych level. Underneath 215, I'll target 214.3, 213.9, 213.3, and 212.8 on IWM. So call trigger, put trigger, targets. That's IWM from 213 to 220. So about $4, similar to SPY, of upside and downside. Let me screenshot that. All right, I'm not going to spend too much time on Mara because I've already talked about Mara, or as Mikey likes to say, Mara. I still got a lot of things on my chart. I can hide the indicators. Here we go. So inverse head and shoulders. This is on the daily. It's on the weekly as well. I just like how the daily looks for example. So daily inverse head and shoulders, daily cup and handle. I want to say, let me close these. I'll leave this one open. No, it's fine. So there is a squeeze on the daily that's firing to the upside currently, and the weekly has a squeeze that is building. So it's already in a daily squeeze and it's pushing upside. And during that time, it's building another big squeeze, a freaking huge squeeze, since April 1st of 2024. So a few months, this weekly squeeze has been building on Mara. The MACD on the weekly as well just crossed bullish for the first time since November. which the last time that happened, Mara went from $10.80 to this previous high around $32. So the stock almost tripled in its stock price from the time of November to December. So in 2 months, the stock price essentially went from 10 to 30. Um, so the same kind of, I'm just seeing a lot of same things here that are just leading me to believe upside for MAR. There's a lot more bullish reasons than bearish reasons on this chart. So, and I like to look at the larger time frames when the larger time frames are showing these kind of signals for us day traders. The kind of move that's going to happen intraday on a 5, 10, 15-minute chart over the course of that day or the next day is going to be freaking huge. And that's just because the technical analysis is based off of a setup on a larger time frame. So those are the setups that you want to look for. You can catch really, really big moves and big squeezes like this potentially. So MACD cross upside bullish, TTM squeeze moving upside bullish, inverse head and shoulders bullish, cup and handle bullish. I think that was just about it. There's a bull flag on the 4-hour time frame here, so that's bullish. I'm actually just going to go ahead and mark that. So got ourselves the flagpole and then the flag right here. So at some point, what you would want to see is come up here, even come back down, go to the top, break the bull flag, and then obviously go higher. Or it can break the bull flag, pull back, which is sometimes what I like to see, to like this previous level, which is going to line up with the top of the bull flag, which is around $24.75. Pull back to there, retest that flag, hold it as support, and then go higher. So potentially this 4-hour setup can be something that we see on Monday for Mara. So I would say for me, Mara starts to really break and hold above 25.6, I'll start to scale into a long position. If you go to my previous tweets, I've stated which contracts I'm going to look at, what strike price, and what expiration for Mara. So if you just scroll through my Twitter, you'll see my full chart on Mara, and then the whole post of the technical analysis, and again, those strikes and expiration that I'm going to look to take here on Mara. So 25.65, that'll be what I look for. Mara breaks under 23.4, it's going to go back down to the bottom of this bull flag, which next level of support for it to hit would be 22.4. So a potential good dip buy area here on Mara, down here at this 22.4. This would be like kind of my last line of support, a really tight stop, maybe $22 psych level. If it pulls back down to 22.4, I'll look to be a buyer, get the really, really snipe of an entry, honestly, to go long with a really tight stop right below. So risk reward to go long there is really good. But then again, I want to see this. And then I will also be a buyer here on the SR flip of 25.64 most likely, or if it fails that and comes back down here, I wouldn't flip short. I would re-enter honestly a long position again at 24.65, or if I do enter in up here, I can average into the trade more as it pulls back here. If it re-enters the bull flag, then that can be my tight stop on the trade. That way, just don't get dragged into a freaking losing position. So, lots of different ways. to trade this. Just depends on how the price action is and what the chart setup is going to look like this week. So always good just to kind of go over those potential scenarios in your head. That way you kind of know how to execute if you do see it line up that way. After Mara, and texted or messaged group chat. I just want to know how the mosquitoes aren't eating you alive.
They are.
They are. All right. After Mara was TSM, Taiwan Semi. I'm not going to go too far into it, but just potential weakness on some of these China names. So the daily does not look that great at all. You could see a potential bull flag, bull pennant at the top that failed. There's nothing more bearish than a failed bullish move. I've learned that from another great analyst who used to say that all the time. I'm sure he still does. Potential hanging man here, and then just instant red candle after that. So if TSM, kind of like this area here, it's like 157.4, I would say is this last line of support. So that's a big spot. Upside, definitely going to be the top to right there to fill that gap. I drop this down to the hourly. Yeah, that looks beautiful. Big spot right here. That's a big battle. 167. This right here is actually a little bit more important, I think. So this 162 spot, that's going to be big. I think I'm actually going to increase the trigger up there. I'm going to mark that high because that's going to be really tight. I think that 162.3, whoopsies. I think that right there is going to be a really big spot. Actually, 160 psych level. But I am going to mark this. So I'm going to use 178.9. That's probably going to line up closer to the 180 area. It's actually not a probably bad idea is to use these psych levels just because you notice how they're going to act. And then this area here is a back and forth. So 180 and 160 on TSM is currently at 165. An earlier call trigger, I think, is if it bounces right up here for an intraday kind of thing. This 170.3. If it breaks above 170.3, getting calls here on the retest and hold of that, I'll target back up to 180. If TSM gets over 180, I think it could get a decent move back up to those highs. If it loses the 160 psych level, I'll take it down to 157.4, 155, and then 150.8. So if go to TSM on the Let me see which time frame I have it marked on. Is it the 4 hour? Yeah, the 4 hour had a 4 hour hanging man up here. Did an instant freaking drop. Weekly down to the hourly. Yeah, and then this is what I missed on TSM. It's my favorite bearish candlestick pattern. There's a hanging man right here in the middle of it, which is just icing on the freaking cake. But that's an evening star, and right at 9 o'clock uh, is when that hourly candle closed, and going into the pre-market, it kind of just held down there at that candle, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to print a red candle after that evening star, and it did. Went down to 168, so that was a beautiful candlestick setup there. So 160 and 180 and 170.3 essentially is the neutral level. You could play initially puts off of that. You can initially play puts off 170.3. Good risk to reward if you're looking to go short on TSM already. That lines up nicely too. So you got points of contact 1, 2. That's close enough for government work. 3, 4, right there. So say it does pop down right up to here. Good spot to take it short. Come down, make that next low down to 160. So if it does pop up to that 170, 170.3 or near this trend line right here, I'm going to go short on TSM and take that thing down from 170, $10 down to 160. That would be beautiful. After TSM, the last one is going to be CCL. Make sure I didn't miss any messages. All right, CCL on the weekly down to the hourly chart. So let's see. Yeah. So MACD, that's why I love TTM squeeze. Because look at it building here on the weekly. And then right here at 15.4, and it took it all the way up here. So you got this beautiful weekly trend line that it's holding. So you can almost say this is an ascending triangle, which is a bullish chart pattern. So it kind of lines up with a $20 psych level, the 200 EMA, where it rejected recently and just perfectly. Yes, I cannot see it. Thank you, Imp. We'll take a look at Tesla and SMCI real quick right after this. So it hit the 200 EMA perfectly at like 19.3. I think $20 psych level is going to be the biggest spot on CCL that needs to break and kind of hold above. Got a little pennant here on the hourly to the daily. If it can reclaim above this pennant, like 18.5, target back up to $19. Look at that. What stock? It was just TSM on the hourly, the evening star. Look at that. Same thing. My favorite candlestick setup that you want to see at the top of an uptrend. Big green candle a red candle, and then a matching big red candle on the other side of the green. That three right there is an evening star. I like to see either a shooting star or a hanging man, or even just a doji. It just needs to be neutral to bearish, honestly, um, to confirm that evening star. And like I said on the previous one, 9 times out of 10, that next candle's red, and it took it straight down. Beautiful, beautiful candlestick pattern. So if it loses the trend line, and honestly, I would say 18 bucks would look too short. So 18 would look to go short there. So 18.5 is right above it. Yeah. So 18.5 is my call trigger, and $18 would be my put trigger. It looks like going into the after hours in the last session, it did break above it. I am in a longer term position currently on CCL to the upside on some calls. So look to either day trade some closer expiry, even just add more in to my longer term call position here. If it starts to break above 18.5 and then $18 psych level down here, that would be my stop to exit, and then look to flip short and get puts on CCL. So then real quick before I jump off, Tesla, that's a bear flag. Looks like there's a small gap to fill on the daily for Tesla under 233. It's not far. It's just going to be a $2 drop on Tesla, which is nothing. Previous days. That's probably fine. So the hourly, I was just looking at that real quick. I was like, that's a bear flag. So you got flagpole here. Draw this little trend line here on the bottom. So Tesla breaks the bear flag in that previous day's low, which is going to line up around 237. I would expect a $4 drop on Tesla to go down to 233. And then under 233, 231.3, and then 230 psych level most likely, which can be a good buy spot on Tesla. For upside on Tesla, 247 is going to be really big, but a closer call trigger to take it up to 247. It's going to be this 242.35 area, which is going to line up perfectly right now with the hourly 200 EMA. I would also say it would invalidate the bear flag at the same time. So if you do have this bear flag right here and you're looking to play it short, if Tesla does go up and instead of rejecting and coming back down to complete this bear flag, the bear flag, if it breaks above it and comes back down to the flag and it retests it and it holds it, take it back upside. So 242.3, Tesla holds above that. I think the bear flag will be invalidated, and it goes up higher. What was the other one? SMCI? SMCI was in an hourly squeeze. SMCI is in a weekly squeeze right now. I already drew this pennant on here too. It's actually breaking below my pennant and the put trigger that I had, which is around 807. Yeah, 806.69. Close enough. Let me go to the daily. Daily squeeze says downside. MACD says downside. That's looking kind of bearish. So you had, and I kind of said this before, there's nothing more bearish in a failed bullish move. So if you have this bull pennant and now it's not holding this daily trend line and it breaks below it, um, that would be a failed bullish move and lead me to believe it's going to be invalidated and go to the downside and be bearish. At the same time, on the daily, the MACD has already crossed bearish. There is a 921 EMA crossover to the downside. It doesn't really mean much because it's kind of coiled right here and just going back and forth. But the daily squeeze is currently building and the momentum is going to the downside at the same time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it come down here, see a lot of buyers step in around 750. When it retests 800, that would be a potential spot to go short on SMCI, and then take it back down to 750 and then 700. The big spot on SMCI is going to be like 975, 980. If it breaks and holds above 970, 980 and the top of the bull pennant, it should just get a straight shot to 1000. And then 1025 and then 1070 would be the next target upside. But right now where it's sitting at, it's almost like it's sitting right on the last line of defense here. So, but everything is pointing a little bit more downside on SMCI right now. Thank you, Amp. So we have SPY, QQQ, IWM, MARA, CCL, and TSM. And then the last two that I did that Amp said was for the chat was Tesla and SMCI. So that is all of the ones that I wanted to review and go over for the watch list. So excited to see where this week goes. Got a lot of earnings this week as well. Excited to play a few of them if I can. But all right, so that's it. Screenshotted most of these charts and I'm going to send them out later. And again, if you could just like and retweet the stream, it is going to be saved because they're all recorded. That way people can view the stream afterwards if they were not attending.